A warm welcome. This is Stu Palmer from Stu's Wrestling Podcast, and this episode was recorded in 2020. It was in relation to me clearing 1,000 followers on the SWP Facebook page, and it was with wrestling veteran, the Metal Maniac Jeff Miller. This was back in 2020. It was a career retrospective episode. It was a special episode just for YouTube only, but I put together some clips from the show. We're going to do it as two parts, this being episode 156 of the show. So without further ado, my guest way back when into the vault of SWP, it's the Metal Maniac Jeff Miller with some fantastic stories about his friendship with Jimmy Snuka, his career, training in Hawaii, going out to the Far East and wrestling with Jimmy in Jordan and Oman. Some great stories, some quite scary stories actually, that. And also when he met Bill Apter, one of the greatest wrestling journalists of all time, at the London publishing offices. So I don't want to give too much away. So here we go. This is episode 156 with the Metal Maniac, Jeff Miller. Enjoy. From Hawaii this evening, it is the Metal Maniac, Jeff Miller. How are you,
That's right. The heavy Metal Maniac coming to you live from the pinnacle professional wrestling with that guy right there, Stu. And we've changed the name of his show to Worldwide Stu. He is heard obviously in the UK and all over England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. He goes all the way to Switzerland, Taipei, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Singapore, New Zealand, Australia, New York City, and all the way to the beaches of Honolulu. All the magazines, all the way from 1990 to 2005. Bill Apter had me plugged in. Your friend and mine, Bill Apter. What's going on, brother Stu?
Jeff, that's quite possibly the greatest intro I've ever had.
Brother, all I know is nobody has to write anything for me.
How did your career begin? When did you first start training pro wrestling? I'm going to go right back.
I was in the music business. I played the bass. I was doing commercials. I was making a very good living. I had not a Screen Actors Guild, but I had a Musicians Guild card, and I still keep that up. And I was doing commercials, but I wanted to be a rock star, you know. And I was playing music, and we got signed to a record deal at the same time as Bon Jovi and Twisted Sister.
Wow.
And turns out the lead singer, who had a voice that was a cross between the guy from Journey and the guy from Rush, but more songwriting like Journey, but the sound was more like the guy from Rush. And he had this something, he could write melodies, and we got signed to a record deal. We don't know. The guy's got a management contract, and they won't let him out. George Benson's Weekend in LA record, his live record, which was a huge hit. Meatloaf's Bad Outta Hell record. These were serious projects that I was around. I remember being around when I was like 10, just to sweep the floors to see what famous people were there, because I wanted to be there, and they were letting me if I behaved, did a job. And so I saw Cher, Aretha Franklin. I mean, you name the singers. You name the Letterman band. I mean, the drummer from Wings. I forget his name. He played with Paul McCartney and Wings for years. I forget his name. I had too many chair shots. I mean, I met Tom. I jammed with Tommy Shaw from Styx, and you know, I mean, I was around, but they wouldn't release him. So we get dropped from the label, and I go to Florida on vacation. And who do I end up meeting was a guy that I had tried to call because I was sniffing around wrestling in the New York area. And Larry Sharp had a school, and he was asking for astronomical money. and Dr. D. David Schultz was an hour and a half away. He was asking for just crazy money. And I was just looking and researching, and I heard in the wrestling magazines that, Florida was a big deal. So I went to Florida on vacation to sniff out. But before I did, I tried to reach out to this guy. His name's Siva Afi. He was one half of the original Islanders, and then he got the Peter Maivia tattoo. They asked him to do something with the Ultimate Warrior. He said, absolutely not. This tattoo means something. No, sir. And so he just said, to hell with you, and left and went to work for Burt Reynolds. Meantime, I'm in this bar. He's going to this bar. And I tried to reach this guy who was a wrestler in New Jersey, this guy, Siva Afi. And it was so unbelievable. I know who Siva Afi is because I tried to reach out to him. He was like 20 minutes away from me at where my mom's lived, and I was still young. I was still young yet, staying at home. And here he comes walking in the door. I tried to reach him 6 months ago on the phone. Well, he comes walking in the door. I walk right up to him. Hey, brother, man, come on in, man. We'll sit down, we'll eat, we'll drink, and be married. We'll be good, because I was always a people person, and I worked out, and I was the same size as him. His biceps were bigger, and I wasn't afraid of him. I was happy to see him, and he was kind of, like he was raised around here and New Zealand and Hawaii, so he's a kind, sweet guy. I ended up staying down there because he's there, and I get an apartment, and I got a job at the bar, and then I got him a job at the bar because he was working 2 jobs at the bar, and for Burt Reynolds doing stunts, and then all of a sudden one day he says, "Listen, you should do this. You've got to do this. You walk, you talk, you sound." I go, "Listen, to me that sounds like you're describing a bass player, like from Van Halen. You're funny, and you should do something with this, man." But then he says to me, a month later, there's no ring. He's teaching me on the beach, doing arm drags and body slams on the beach here in Hawaii. And the next thing you know, he said to me, I'm going to raise my son in Hawaii. I said, well, what about me? He goes, move. You can move. I'll hook you right in. Let me get down there for 2 weeks, and I'll hook you right in. So, boom, I come down. I got a place to stay, a car to use, food to eat. I got a motor scooter. I had like a 200cc Honda that I was zipping from the beach to the gym, to the wrestling gym, back to the beach, to the pool, and sleep at night, and boom, keep doing it over and over. And 3 times a week, he'd take me to Leah Maivia's ring.
Wow.
And Auntie Leah was like my big proponent. She was a big booster of mine. She told me stories, and every Friday we would meet at the happy hour from 4 to 7 in Waikiki, and she'd have a couple of belts, and she would tell me, hey, listen, don't get married until you're done with the business. It's not good for marriages. It's not good for children. You should do this. You shouldn't do that. And she just would tell me stuff, and I would sit and listen. Looking at them, and he's like, well, this guy's definitely from Hawaii. He just look at his tan. He just got off the plane. He's bringing me things only you can buy in Hawaii. And he says to me, brother, sit down. So now I'm sitting with the Superfly, and I don't know. I'm supposed to run out and do an angle to come back the next day to do an angle to come back the following month. I don't know any of this. They've already decided this before I've got there. So I'm just listening and doing what I'm told. But listen, the funniest thing. So the first night, he's with Sal Balomo. Sal's dressed as this like Roman character. And they're going back and forth, boom, boom, boom. Jimmy goes for the cover. I slide in and I don't boom, 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 all this shit. I hit Jimmy once, and Jimmy really sold it. And back then I was in really good shape. So I flexed like Superstar would and walked slowly, grabbed him again, lifted up my hand and whammo and flexed. And Jimmy just sold. And then all of a sudden Jimmy comes back. Boom, 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 boom. Chop, chop, headbutt. I go flying out. So Jimmy goes to the top again to splash Sal. I go like I'm going back up towards the ring. Tony Stetson comes, whacks me with a chair. That was my chair. That was my first chair shot. He did not hurt me, but he rang a bell and knocked me on my ass. But he didn't hurt me. He just rang my bell and knocked me on my ass. Tony Stetson.
You're saying about Jimmy, and you're saying about obviously getting on the aeroplane. You were booked on all the shows with Jimmy, weren't you? The five shows with Jimmy.
Right. So he says the 5 shows. So we do all this stuff, and he's doing shows, I'm doing shows, but then it comes together where we're on these 5 shows, and then from then on, it was just full on. Listen, kid, wherever I go, you're going to go. And he was making sure that I was going on these trips. We went to Oman, Jordan. My first overseas trip was like, and I didn't know anything, because when Jimmy said, you fooled me, and I said, bro, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. He goes, no, I would have known 2 minutes later. Now that I know, I can't believe you, and I gotta help you. And then he got me on those 5 shows, but it turns out they were later, and I was flying around doing my thing, and I went down to the Global Wrestling Federation, which is how, when I went to England, there was kids who had the magazine articles. Now, here, funniest thing. So I was saying, 2 days before, see, Stu, you weren't listening. 2 days before I got there to the ECW shows, I leave Hawaii Tuesday. I arrive on a Wednesday, and it's 6 hours ahead. I'm jet lagged, but I drive out to London Publishing. That's where Bill Apter worked in Long Island. It's the 2-hour ride, a horrible 2-hour ride. I get there, I bring my gear bag, and I go into the lobby of this building, which today, security, you couldn't do. And I went into the men's bathroom, and I dressed up like this, and I go up on the elevator with my bag, and I walk right into London Publishing in my full gear, hair long and blown out like crazy. And I said, I'm here to see Bill Apter. Who can I say is calling? Said, my name's the Metal Maniac, and Don Morocco and King Curtis said I should come here, and I'm here. So he comes out, and he's like, who are you? I said, the Metal Maniac. Don Morocco said to come here, and King Curtis said to come here and get you to taking some pictures of me, because I just got off the plane and I'm at ECW on Friday night. And he goes, come with me. And he starts taking shots, and he had the whole thing set up already, because at the publishing place, they always have, lighting set up. You just touch one button, all the lights come on, and they can take automatic pictures, like, brr, brr, brr. They were, at everything. So Bill Apter was one of those funny guys. Bill Apter has a book with everybody with the finger like this, all the famous guys. He's got a book. He's got a thing that he would do to all these new people, that came to work for him, that were, non-believers of pro wrestling. And he would goof on the guys, and he'd push the guy, and the guy would shove him, and he would fling himself over his desk and take a bump on the floor. Bill Apter used to do this, and he'd get up with something, and he'd say, stop me. But you wouldn't know it. The lady didn't hear that. She see me kick him and bang. He took my hand and banged his head against the thing, and he's, call the police, call the police. She's calling the police. I'm like, Bill, you better get up and tell her not to call the police. He's like, no. It's wrestling. It's wrestling. You see, this is what I'm saying. You see how real it was? You were right here in front of you. It's not real. It's real. Okay, fine. So Bill Apter, after that, he is in Philadelphia. And who's my roommate for ECW the first and second night? The guy I met 2 days before, Bill Apter. And once he got to talking to me and knew I was a musician, I graduated music school, I did this, I worked with that one, I was around all these famous people, and I couldn't get into wrestling. And I accidentally fell into it because of music failed, and I was going to go back to being a studio musician, but I wanted to be a rock star. And I saw Hulk Hogan and Mr. T, and the following year, Daryl, you know Hall and Oates, the band Hall.
Yeah, I do know Hall and Oates.
Daryl Hall, not him, John Oates. You don't see it with his haircut, but he's got 2 cauliflower ears. He's a wrestler, 158 pounds in high school, and I was watching WrestleMania 2 with him and the guy Eddie Kendricks, with the original singer from The Temptations, and they were doing some R&B stuff in the studio, and I happened to be there in the evening time making sure everything went right, because when my cousins went to bed, it was my job to make shit happen. Don't wake me. You're the one. You grew up around here. You're not 10 anymore. You've graduated from sweeping toilets. You know what to do. He was a famous man over there. He was very influential in Germany. And it was great because Jimmy didn't have to stay the first 3 months or the second 3 months. He can go in and out, in and out. But one year, it was at the end of 93 into 94, he said, "The hell with Global. That's not the TV you want to be on anyway." He goes, "Let's go to Germany for 6 months." So we went to Germany for 6 months. This is right after he left ECW, and he did them a huge favor. He made Tommy Dreamer. He gave him a splash and let Tommy Dreamer kick out of it twice.
Wow. That's the endorsement.
That's a major big deal.
Absolutely.
And he did that for Todd Gordon, and he did that for, but, once Paul came in, Paul had some ideas, and there was some miscommunication because we went down to visit them with a writer, but he was also an entertainment attorney. But the minute we showed up, I don't know what happened. Till this day, all I know is Jimmy introduced him as his lawyer. Well, they bugged out. They didn't know why a lawyer was there. He didn't even get the chance to tell them. He came there as a creative writer because that's what his secondary degree was in. And he wanted to write a book about Jimmy, and he wanted to write it around the independent scene now with ECW on the growth. But that never, ever got to be said. And there was this argument between all of them, not me. I went back in and I was like, "Listen, I don't know what the hell just happened, but that wasn't my doing. I'm just letting you know." And Paul was like, "Yeah, whatever." But ever since then, Paul never liked me, and I never had nothing to do with anything, but everybody got me somebody to blame. Sure, but Sheik. And Sheik was watching the match, and Sheiky baby goes, "I don't know, Metal Maniac, baby. A big man do best job for you. I never see him go off his feet, but for Hulk Hogan and Superfly, you better go in there and give him big hug, give him kiss, and tell him how much you love him." I said, "I'm going, Sheik." He goes, "You better get moving, motherfucker. Holy crap. I know you're a nice Italiano Jew from the wrestling country of New Jersey, but you better go and thank him right now." So I go in and I find him and I give him a big hug. He goes, "Jeff, that was so much fun. That was so much fun." And then he's the guy who got me a whole bunch of dark matches with WCW, but their monies was just so stupidly low. It was just so ridiculous. It was ridiculous. I mean, you talk about be on TV for free. It wasn't that low, but it was low enough to say I'd rather work with Jimmy every weekend than to go up there and they won't let me use my face paint. They'll let me use my name. This is the thing. When I got there, Sting was very cool with me, and I was dressed like this. And I told Sting I could do it to like this. Well, Sting heard them tell me wash it off, so I do. And then Sting comes in and says, "Hey, bro, that's fucked up. They should have let you wear that. I heard what they said. Sting's the man. I never told them." I said, "I know you didn't tell them. This was right there. I mean, this happened. They didn't see me. I was hiding. So I know, I know you didn't see me either. I saw you look at me. I know you didn't see me. So you couldn't have told. Timing wasn't right for it, but still, they gave you $500 a night, and you had to take care of your hotel and your ground trans and all that. But, I had family down in Florida. They picked me up at the airport because that was at Lakeland, Florida, at the first Thunder taping was when I was doing, that was my January 12th, it's either 2nd or 12th of 1998, which is when the first Thunders were at Lakeland Coliseum in Lakeland, Florida. So, and this was all in the first 3 years. I mean, brother, there was nobody. Jim the Anvil Neidhart, Greg Valentine, Cheeto, Rick the Model Martel, Tony Atlas, Hacksaw. Like I said, S.D. Jones. I even worked The Rock's dad. I've worked Ivan Koloff. I'm one of the few guys of my age bracket and age in the business that work with Sika. Wow. And I've worked with the great Samu and Rikishi, or Samu and Fatu. I've worked with both of them guys. I've worked with the Tonga Kid. L.A. Smooth, one of the other someone guys in there, one of Alpha's sons. I almost worked with Alpha Jr., but I had a death in the family. And the guy still rid me that his promo was so heavy that, I got scared and didn't go. It was like, shut up. My uncle died. I would have loved to have worked with him because I'm positive Alpha up in Oman and Jordan. And I guess the promoters think that you just say wrestling and people will show up. Plus, over there, you can't just go on TV and advertise. It's a military installation. It's not America where you can, people can say what they want on the news. If the president of the king of Jordan doesn't want you advertising, no one will know about your shit. So that's what happened, because he wasn't greasing the right people, because everything is all about, giving the money, the dole, doling. And so we're supposed to get our money the first night we're there, half, and then the other half at the end. Well, 1, 2, 3 shows goes by, and these houses are terrible. So the fourth night, Jimmy said, nobody get dressed. And you had the girls, you had the midgets, me, bunch of guys. This other old timer from England, Pat Barrett, was there. Mondo Guerrero, a bunch of, schooled guys, Playboy Buddy Rose and Moose Moretti. So we're over there. Malaya Osaka was over there. Another girl, I forget her name, she was over there. They wouldn't let the girls wrestle because of their clothing and because they don't do that. They don't want to see women do that. So they still got paid while they were supposed to get paid. So at the last night, we're not getting dressed. And the next thing you know, one of the promoters comes in. He's like, "Hey, come on, excuse me, I worked all night, and it's late by you, and I worked all night." The guy goes, "It's 8:00. You know, the show starts in 20 minutes." Jimmy said, "Well, we're still waiting to get paid." So he leaves the room, and some other bosses come in. "Come on, you know, blah blah blah." I said, "Hey, I'm still waiting to get paid." All of a sudden, a bunch of Hitler mustaches with AK-47s and military gear come walking in this room, and I think they're going to kill us all, and I'm the only Jew in the room. Holy shit. Well, the guy, you know how the Arabs are with the feet, and how, you know, if you want to disgrace somebody, you step on them, or you make them kiss your feet, or you want to praise them, you kiss their feet, or you put a picture on the floor, you step on it. That's a part of their culture. That's how they show you they don't like you, is they put your foot on you, you know? So that's why when Saddam went down, all the people were taking their shoes and hitting the statue. That's part of their culture. Well, this guy who's got guns and everything gets down on his hands and knees and starts kissing Jimmy's toes, saying, "Please, Snuka, I don't want to shoot my own people. These are not Americans. They're going to riot if you don't wrestle." And he said, "Brother, don't kiss my feet. Stand up." The guy was so like, he doesn't want me to kiss his feet. He stood him up and he goes, "No, bruh. Listen, everybody thinks Americans are rich, but we're not. Okay? We're just like you in our own country. Yeah, maybe if you transferred your money to ours, maybe, I don't know. But I can tell you right now, we're not like you think. I'm telling you." That guy and that guy told us to come here. We came all the way here. They were supposed to give us the money. Here's the paperwork. He looked at it. He took out his gun. He put it right in the guy's mouth. He said, "You are going to pay these guys right here, right now. I'm going to shoot your friend." And this is in the Middle East. I mean, I'm having a heart attack. Sure enough, here come the $100 bills. And they paid the midgets. They paid the girls. They paid everybody. And then before we went, I hear my music. And Jimmy made sure the promoter from America got paid too. And this is smart, Jimmy. Before we went out, we both got paid, right? And Jimmy doesn't wear boots, so we had both of our pays in my boots, because I had these tall motorcycle boots, like the Road Warriors, the tall ones. Mm-hmm. And I had the money inside both of my boots, taped up. So as we're going, Jimmy said, "Hold up." And they come back. He says, "Hey, I made you sure you got your money. I want you to give him 1,000 more and me 1,000 more. Otherwise, we're going to the truck. Screw you." And they gave us another 1,000 each. So I shoved those in my boots. And then as we're going, Jimmy goes, 30 seconds. I'm like, 30 seconds? He goes, "Brah, gotta get out of here. Got our money. Gotta go out, do it, and go." I said, "So we just go?" He goes, "You know what to do. Just go. You know what I mean when I say go." Okay. So as soon as we get out, I get out there, you shut up and this and that. Boo. Here comes Jimmy. It started to rain. And Jimmy's doing his like Polynesian dance around the ring, and they're all going nuts. And it's in the rain. And the ring was so bad. I'm walking around the ring and I'm going like this, like Jimmy would. And I'll be like, "Man, there ain't no water in this fucking pool." Where's he going to jump onto? I don't know what is, because I don't know what he's going to do now. Maybe he's going to do a flying crossbody, because if Jimmy did a flying crossbody, it was either because he didn't get his full 1,000 a night, or it's because there was no water in the pool. The ring sucked. So I see him doing this with his feet, and he goes, "Ain't no water in this pool," which is where I got the expression from. And Tackle just grabbed the headlock on him. Boo! Tackle dropped down, leapfrog, double chop, backbreaker, splash. And he hit me so hard, he gave him a big one. He put me outside, but he gave me such a big one, and it was such a bad ring. Jimmy hit me, bounced off of me, and crawled back onto me. And then as far as Jimmy goes, look, a lot of people say a lot of bad shit, and they can all say whatever they want, but I can tell you right now, I was with him for hundreds of days every year for at least 10 or 12 years. I had never seen him raise his voice. Now, if me and you spent that much time together, going to the gym together, going to the supermarket together, going to the diner together, going to wrestling shows together, and, spent a lot of time together, you would think somebody would have got on somebody's nerves, or somebody would have been mad at somebody else and they would have gotten hot. I was the only one that ever got upset about anything. He was like, Polly's brother, man, take it easy. It's no problem. Just go with the flow, So when they were talking about him on that TV show, I was very hurt about that, because
I can only imagine.
The way that
I can only imagine, man.
I knew from the Vice product that it's going to be slanted in a negative tone, because that's how they get you to watch. And it was, but there was a lot of holes that were left. There was a lot of holes that they didn't talk about. Mr. Fuji did a video on how the father was a bookmaker, and you know what a bookmaker is, and you know who they work for, and you know what that means. And was that followed up? I don't know. I think Tonga Kid, who I love very much, I think he's got the day wrong, because they were a tag team, then they weren't, and Jimmy wasn't happy about that. And I know Tonga wasn't on the road with Jimmy as often, so Tonga was either driving himself or was with the other Samoan guys, and Jimmy was with the girl. And every time I had ever been with Jimmy, ever, I mean, mind you, Fuji said that. I didn't. So if people don't like what I just said, Mr. Fuji said it on the internet. They can go look and find it. He says it. I mean, but I never had that conversation with Jimmy, because I never really ever knew about it till ways later, like in the early 2000s. And at that point, it didn't make any sense to me, and I never gave it another thought. Nobody sat down and said, oh, my God, guess what? It's everywhere all over the world. I never asked him. I never spoke to him about it. We never ever – there was no need to talk about it. No. He was teaching me. He was teaching me. I'm there to sit and listen. I wasn't there to talk like I am with you. I'm here to talk to you, let the people know. But I wasn't there to talk like I am with you. I'm here to talk to you, let the people know. But, Jimmy was a really nice guy. My mother was a Yankee fan. He was a Yankee fan. He was scouted as a Yankee. They wanted him before he was Mr. Hawaii, before he was, the Fiji Superman and all that stuff. Before he was any of that, he was, James Smith, who played for the Hawaiian Islanders and was the first guy ever to hit the ball out of the Aloha Stadium, which is where they used to have the football thing, the Pro Bowl. And like I said, I'd never heard him raise his voice. Him and my mother, when there was a baseball game on, my mom would come over back to her house where she was staying at my aunt's big house, and we all would watch the games together, and they knew all the names of the guys. And he said, hey, you want to go to a game? I'll get Jeff to get us seats. I'm like, you will? And so he said, listen, brother, this is what I want you to do, man. This next week, it's the big deal. I want you to call the Yankees and tell them I want 3 seats. So I called up the Yankees organization and told them my name was so-and-so, and I worked for Superfly Jimmy Snuka, and he wants 3 seats, and he wants to be at the first baseline, and he wants one for me, one for his lady friend, which is my mom, but she was in a wheelchair. We just said it like that so we can get it done. And sure enough, we pulled in. They took my mom in the wheelchair, boom, brought her right to her seat. Me and him sat down, and then the next thing you know, Jimmy's on the Titantron and the place explodes. 60,000 people going, crazy. And then that's when my mom knew how famous Jimmy was. but we never, like I said, I think Tonga Kid got the day wrong. And the thing, the pissing on the side of the road, just the funniest shit. Jimmy used to say, if you don't pull over, I'm going to piss in this bottle. And I would hate that. And there's stories about guys who would do that all the time, piss in the bottle and just throw it out so you didn't have to stop. And I would hate that. But he would make me stop on the New Jersey Turnpike where there's state troopers. He would make me on the New York Thruway, there's state troopers. He would make me on the Blue Route in Pennsylvania, which goes from, let's say, Pittsburgh to Philadelphia. And you pull over and take a piss, and the cops are going to pull up. They just are. In Massachusetts, many times, in all of those states, he has had me pulled over, and every single time, I am positive there are state troopers in the United States who, if they were watching this right now and heard me say it, they would say, that was me. They would say, hey, sir, what are you doing over here? And they'd say, you're the Superfly. And then they'd shake his dirty piss hand.
That was part one. We have delved into the vault with myself and wrestling veteran, the Metal Maniac Jeff Miller from 2020. This was a YouTube exclusive back in 2020, but I'm going to do it in two parts. I've selected some clips, and we'll be back for part two with the Metal Maniac Jeff Miller very, very soon for episode 157 of Stu's Wrestling Podcast. And we'll see you very, very soon. Take care, everybody.